If I told you that in Europe there is a country where the beauty of its women sparks endless debate, yet the real reason many men choose to stay has nothing to do with appearance, would you believe it? In the West, beauty often moves at the speed of life itself. Modern, fast, and relentlessly competitive. Everything is measured by performance visibility and whether you are staying ahead of everyone else. People grow used to proving their worth every single day, even in moments that should belong to rest. But Bulgaria is different. Here, beauty does not need to be proven. It doesn't rely on spotlights or attention. It exists in a classical, quiet way, much like the rhythm of the country itself, slow, deep, and unpretentious. Mornings don't begin with emails. Cafes aren't filled with laptops. Conversations aren't interrupted by constant phone notifications. Time in Bulgaria isn't dragged forward. It is held, allowing people to feel that they are truly living. And perhaps that is what makes people stay longer than they planned. Not because life here is perfect, but because for the first time in a long while, life does not demand that you run faster than yourself. If you're curious about what truly makes Bulgaria different, not just in carefully filtered images online, but in real everyday life, stay with me until the end of this video. 1. Bulgaria, small but far from shallow, quietly tucked away in southeastern Europe. Bulgaria is a country many people pass over on the map without a second glance. With a land area of just over 111,000 square kilometers and a population of around 6.4 million, it appears modest compared to Europe's larger names. There are no overwhelming megacities, no constant rush demanding your attention, and rarely the kind of loud tourism campaigns that dominate social media. Yet, it is precisely this quiet presence that conceals a depth few places in Europe still possess. Bulgaria is not a country you easily find on a travel map, but once you step inside, you realize that history here does not live in museums, it lives beneath your feet. For more than 1,300 years, Bulgaria has existed as a nation, and long before that, this land was the heart of the ancient Thracian civilization. Over centuries, it became a crossroads of Roman, Byzantine, and Ottoman empires. Empires arrived and vanished, but Bulgaria remained. It settled into itself, layering time upon time, memory upon memory, story upon story. You don't need to enter an exhibition hall to touch the past here. You walk along stone paths once crossed by Roman legions. You stand before walls that have witnessed wars collapse and rebirth. The churches, fortresses, and old towns were not built to impress. They exist because they were never forgotten. Bulgaria may be small in size, but it is anything but shallow in depth. This is a country that does not tell its story loudly. It lets time speak instead, and those who are slow enough to listen often carry Bulgaria with them long after they have left. Sofia, the capital that doesn't rush. Sofia sits more than 550 meters above sea level, quietly elevated, not just in height, but in pace. It is one of the oldest capitals in Europe, a city that has been continuously inhabited for over 7,000 years. Long before modern borders were drawn, people were already living, building, and praying on this land, leaving behind a rhythm that still guides the city today. Cradled by green mountains on all sides, Sofia feels protected, almost held in place by nature. The air is cooler, clearer, the noise softer. From many corners of the city, the mountains remain in view, reminding you that even in the capital, life does not fully detach from the natural world. Here, the city never overwhelms the landscape, it learns to live beside it. At the heart of Sofia rises the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral, its golden domes catching the light without demanding attention. When the bells begin to ring, their sound spreads across wide-open squares, and something subtle happens. People slow their steps. Conversations pause. For a brief moment, the city breathes together. Not because it has to, but because it knows how. In Sofia, Mornings don't feel urgent. Afternoons stretch without pressure. Evenings arrive gently, carried by the fading echo of church bells and the soft movement of people crossing open plazas. There is no need to hurry here, no invisible clock pushing you forward. As one local once said in Sofia, people do not chase time. They let time pass through them. And perhaps that is why the city feels less like a capital, competing with the world, and more like a place that quietly exists, steady, unhurried, and deeply at peace with itself. 3. Bulgarian women. Beauty that doesn't need proof. When people speak about Bulgarian women, the conversation often stops at appearance. But if you look only with curiosity, you miss what truly matters. Here, beauty is not placed on display, nor is it something to be emphasized. It exists naturally, woven into everyday life. This is a classical Slavic beauty, quiet, unforced. Deep, contemplative eyes. Features that do not seek attention, yet reveal depth the longer you look. Their calmness does not come from distance or coldness, but from a sense of inner ease, the confidence of someone who does not need to prove herself to the world. By global standards, Bulgaria has earned recognition with many representatives appearing in Miss World and Miss Universe competitions. But within the country, such titles are not the focus. Beauty here is believed to be shaped by the way people live. A diet low in sugar, traditions passed down through generations, and most notably, Bulgarian yogurt rich in Lactobacillus bulgaricus, a probiotic long associated with health and longevity. It is common to see older women walking gracefully unhurried, their expressions gentle and composed. In Bulgaria, people do not rush to resist time. They learn to live alongside it. And perhaps that is what creates a different kind of beauty, not sharp or attention-seeking, but enduring. In Bulgaria, beauty is not something to be displayed. It exists quietly, much like the people themselves. 4. Architecture history, written in stone. To understand Bulgaria, you cannot stay in one place. You have to move. Because the country's architecture does not belong to a single city, it unfolds like a journey where every stop reveals a different layer of time. Plovdiv is where many begin. A city that has existed for more than 8,000 years, considered one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Stone-paved streets wind through the old town, where 19th-century houses with wooden balconies and pastel-colored walls still stand unashamed of their age. Here, old does not mean outdated. Old means memory that is still alive. At the heart of the city stands the Roman theater, built in the 1st century. After 2,000 years, a place that once echoed with the voice of the Roman Empire still hosts music and performance today. When you sit on its white stone steps, you are not just watching a show, you are sitting with history itself. Leaving Plovdiv and heading north, you arrive in Veliko Tarnovo, the former capital of the Second Bulgarian Empire. The city clings to the hillsides following the curves of the Yantra River, below creating a scene that feels both powerful and contemplative. At its highest point rises Tsarevets Fortress, once the center of royal authority. As night falls, light and sound wash over the fortress, retelling the story of a kingdom that stood proud and unbroken. In Bulgaria, architecture does not try to impress through scale alone. It exists to remember, stone, wood, and time layered together, quiet, enduring. Every city is a chapter in a book, and no chapter here is ever written in haste. 5. Culture and rituals. Things that cannot be copied. Bulgarian culture is not designed to be performed. It isn't packaged for tourists, and that is precisely why it cannot be copied. What exists here are rituals preserved across generations, not out of obligation, but because they still hold meaning in everyday life. Each year on March 1st, Bulgaria welcomes Baba Marta. People exchange small red and white threads called martinitsa. There are no grand stages, no loud celebrations, just a simple gesture symbolizing the balance between vitality and purity, between winter and spring. Bulgarians wear them until they see the first swallow, a quiet reminder that every new beginning requires patience. Then comes kukeri. As winter draws to a close, villages fill with the heavy beat of drums and the clang of bells. Men dress in mythical costumes, wearing fierce masks, dancing to drive away evil spirits and awaken the earth. This is not a festival meant to be watched. It is a ritual meant to be believed in. A tradition over 2,000 years old, rooted in the idea that sound movement and community can protect one another from harm. And finally, culture reaches you through food. Simple, yet profound. Banitsa, thin, flaky layers filled with salty cheese, often enjoyed in the quiet of morning. Shopska salad with red tomatoes, green cucumbers, and white cheese, the colors of the Bulgarian flag. And wine produced from lands that have grown grapes for centuries, meant to be sipped slowly, not to intoxicate, but to invite conversation. In Bulgaria, the experience does not stop at seeing. You touch it through the small threads tied around your wrist. You hear it in the bells echoing through morning mist. And you taste it in modest meals where culture does not need explanation, it simply exists. 6. Real life and cost of living. Behind the old churches, stone-paved streets, and centuries-old rituals, Bulgaria is still a place that is very much alive, practical, grounded, and real. And it is here that many begin to understand why people choose to stay, not to get rich quickly, but to live more easily. In 2025, the average cost of living in Sofia, Bulgaria's capital, is around $1,000 per person per month. This typically covers rent, food, transportation, and basic daily needs. In smaller cities, such as Plovdiv or Veliko Tarnovo, a comfortable lifestyle can cost closer to $700 a month. Not because things are unusually cheap, but because the system is built for locals, not for display or excess. Renting a one-bedroom apartment in central Sofia usually ranges between $500 and $600 per month. A cup of coffee at a neighborhood cafe costs about $1.50. A full local meal, freshly prepared and filling, often comes in under $8. These numbers aren't meant to shock. They simply mean you don't have to calculate every day just to get by. But what truly defines life here isn't the price, it's the pace. In Bulgaria, cafes aren't temporary offices. Laptops are rare on tables. Mornings don't begin with emails. People sit down, drink their coffee, talk, and watch the world pass by without urgency, without the need to appear busy. There is no culture of showing off, no pressure to make success visible. Life here moves at a measured human rhythm, leaving room to breathe. Bulgaria won't make you rich quickly, but it will help you breathe normally again. And sometimes, that is the greatest luxury a place can offer. 7. Villages and people. Leaving the cities behind, Bulgaria reveals a different world, one where time is no longer divided by schedules. Roads lead through long stretches of vineyards, past low wooden fences surrounding modest homes, where flowers and fruit grow by season, not by plan. In the Bulgarian countryside, mornings begin with simple, familiar rituals, watering the garden, feeding chickens, preparing yogurt. Grandparents sit on their porches, slowly stirring milk, talking about the weather and the harvest. In the village square, a few men gather around a chessboard, each move taken without hurry, no one urging the other on. Here, winning matters far less than sitting together. Bulgarians tend to be reserved with strangers. They don't rush into conversation, they aren't overly expressive, and they don't try to make a strong first impression. But once you are considered a friend, sincerity becomes unmistakable. Doors open. Another place is set at the table. Conversations last longer than planned, and almost no visit happens without rakia, a strong traditional brandy usually made from plums or grapes, poured not to intoxicate but to welcome. In Bulgaria, rakia is more than a drink. It is a greeting, a sign of trust, a quiet way of saying you are welcome here. In rural Bulgaria, people live close to the land, close to one another, and closer to themselves. There is little to show off and no reason to rush. Relationships are built slowly, but they are strong enough to last a lifetime. 8. Nature and the rhythm of the seasons. If people are the soul of Bulgaria, then nature is the heartbeat of this land. Here, landscapes are not merely meant to be admired. They shape the way people live, slow down, and experience time itself. To the southwest, the Rila Mountains rise with quiet strength, crowned by Mount Musala, standing just under 3,000 meters above sea level. The air here is crisp and clean, each breath carrying the scent of pine and melting snow. Trails wind through deep forests, where human footsteps feel small against the enduring presence of stone and sky. Further south, the Rhodope Mountains reveal a different kind of beauty, softer, more introspective, and steeped in legend. Bulgarians believe this is the birthplace of Orpheus, the mythical musician whose melodies could make stones weep. Small villages cling to the slopes, twilight smoke curling from red-tiled roofs, as if time itself has chosen to linger here. As early summer arrives, the Rose Valley awakens in fragrance. Millions of roses are hand-picked at dawn and distilled into rose oil, the liquid gold that Bulgaria supplies to nearly 70% of the world. More than an industry, it is a ritual that binds people to the land and to the seasons. And then there is the Black Sea. Stretching along the eastern edge of the country, it offers a gentler, more accessible coastline than those of Western Europe. Golden sands, warm waters, and a summer pace that doesn't demand extravagance. Here, you don't need to spend much to feel the season, you only need time. Bulgaria changes with the seasons, but it never rushes. Spring arrives. Softly, summer glows, autumn settles into reflection, and winter grows quiet. People don't come to Bulgaria to escape life. They come to feel it again. 9. Realities and practical notes. Before leaving Bulgaria, there are a few small but important things worth mentioning, not to break the mood, but to make your experience more complete and respectful. The first detail that often confuses foreigners is the way people nod and shake their heads. In Bulgaria, nodding usually means no, while shaking your head means yes. It takes a little time to get used to, but once you do, it becomes an interesting cultural quirk rather than an obstacle. In major cities, credit cards are widely accepted. But when you step into traditional markets, small family-run shops, or rural areas, cash remains essential. Carrying some Bulgarian currency isn't just practical. It helps you blend more naturally into everyday life. Bulgarians value personal space. A light handshake and steady eye contact are the standard greeting. Gestures like hugs or cheek kisses, common in other parts of Europe, are not always appropriate here. Respect and modesty are quietly appreciated. And if you're invited into someone's home, don't arrive empty-handed. A small gift, a bottle of wine, a box of sweets, or a few flowers doesn't need to be expensive, but it shows consideration. In Bulgaria, small gestures often speak the loudest. These practical notes don't take away from Bulgaria's beauty. They simply help you slow down, understand more deeply, and connect more genuinely with the country and its people. 10. Is Bulgaria right for you? After everything we've explored, one thing becomes clear. Bulgaria does not try to please everyone. It doesn't chase trends, it doesn't seek attention, and it doesn't promise a glamorous life or dramatic transformations. If you need speed, bright lights, and constant recognition, you may find Bulgaria slow. Slow in the way people talk. Slow in the rhythm of everyday life. Slow enough that it may ask you to face yourself more than you expect. But if you are looking for a place that doesn't require you to prove who you are, a place where a person's value isn't measured by how busy they appear to be, a place where stillness is considered a form of wealth, then Bulgaria may stay with you longer than you think. Bulgaria doesn't change you through shock or grand promises. It changes you through a slower pace, through quiet mornings, through the feeling that life doesn't always need to be optimized. And perhaps in a world that is moving too fast, that isn't a shortcoming, but a choice. If this video made you see Bulgaria differently, share your thoughts in the comments below.